Hello, this is Nathan, better known as CrazyhermitDM, and this is my podcast, The Hermit's Homebrew. Joining me today is Brent from Lang Mini Studios, and Chase, better known as Kilk, as we talk about Dungeons & Dragons and tabletop gaming. So we come back to the next session, and Merrick gets raised, but the thing that people are noticing while she's doing that minute ritual, because it's it's an action ritual. Sorry, it's not a minute ritual. It's just a literal touch.
Revivify?
You have to do it within a minute of death. That's right.
Yep.
Yes.
But you guys notice that the bones that had been spattered across this thing of Fjolnir started clittering across the floor and started sliding back together.
Yeah, and we were thinking, oh, it's reconstituting. Great.
And that's... who ended up taking out the necromancy pillar?
Wasn't Merrick, that's for sure. I forget, but yeah, it wasn't Merrick. Was it?
That broke the pillar?
Yeah. Was it? It was Tove or Ramah or Toybar, one of those three.
Because Silvera was down, so she didn't do it.
Toybar went over to look at it, I think, and something bad happened. Didn't it pulse again?
I think
I made it pulse again when I tried to cast a spell on it because I failed something.
I think you
And
just
it
cast
knocked everybody again.
That's right.
Oh, it knocked everybody. Yeah. Yep. That's right. And I was like, no, I just got back up. Don't kill me again.
And then that's
But
exactly what it did.
Right? It just
just did damage. Yeah.
Everybody was kind of down, but it knocked half the party out doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and I believe it was after that. It was you'd already been resurrected though, so you were just kind of downed.
Yeah.
That actually marked the first time in the campaign Tove's been knocked out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So was it?
Yes.
Was it Ramah?
I bet it was.
I believe that it was.
I believe it was Ramah.
Clint?
Someone disenchanted it or cast basically like a radiant magic or nature magic on it. One of the three. I cannot remember.
Yeah, I can't remember. Dang.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
But
now I know who it wasn't. That's
in between these sessions. Well, in between these sessions, this brought up a moment away from the table with Vicky and me and Chase when Vicky actually wanted to know more about Fjolnir, which made me actually happy as a DM because she actually wanted to know his backstory and why is he here?
Yeah, what happened to him? Yeah, what is this? Yeah.
Yeah, she had picked up on some of our information that this was whatever this giant dog pile of bones was her brother. Right? 'Cause she knows that Loki is her father. And so she was like, wait a minute, do I know anything about this? And that's where we went into
whether Fenrir may or may not have gotten a raw deal. Yeah.
He got
screwed, yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, he got imprisoned for what he was destined to do. It was like definitely Minority Report
I was
situation.
just going to say, it's literally the plot to Minority Report, getting arrested for something you will do.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, you're supposed to kill Odin in like however many years. Oh, so how about I just not do that? No, you're going to prison. Oh, okay. That's not cool. But here we are.
Right.
But yeah, you ended up showing her a video and it actually made me happy just because she realized it's like Fjolnir got the raw end of the deal and she actually felt sorry for him, which she actually did her first lore dive outside the table.
Nice. There's no coming back from that.
Right. So at this point, as players, we know what god she's going to become if she becomes one, right?
Yes.
Outside the table, because just for story purposes, as a DM, sometimes it's cool to hide some of those big plot points, but sometimes you really want to make sure that, hey, if this is going to happen to your character, we need to make sure that it's okay with the player.
Yeah.
Move forward in the story with it, right? Outside of like, hey, your character's dying, like you need to tell them that. But the character's going to continue through the story, and it's going to have this huge shift to who and what they are. You should get approval from the player.
And you and me, me and Brent have talked about it a dozen times. We've talked about, it's been kind of mentioned at the table a dozen times about what she'll become when she gets the spark. And there's one time where me and her were at work, because that's usually if her and me talk one-on-one, that's where it's at, just because of how our lives go outside the table. And I think it got mentioned, that she's thinking, like, she's talking to you, she's talking about, like, being kind of this goddess of heroes, or just because she is a very political person, away from the table, she, the god of change, somebody that's going to bring, despite all the political stuff that's happening outside in the world, she wants to actually make a good difference inside this fantasy one. And I think out of a couple of times I had kind of, as a GM, without just blatantly like, do you want to be this? I kind of like put my toe in the water and mentioned, do you want to be this or this or this, indirectly, and she never objected to any of them. So and that's after the group. We'll get to that scene with Odin here in a bit, but that's when she kind of found out what her destiny is, and she was actually, I think, more than okay with it. She didn't seem to object or seem too disappointed, from what I understood, Chase.
Yeah, so she wanted to come up with a way that, obviously, in character, her brother, like you said, got the raw end of the deal. And knowing that she is going to become the goddess of heroes if she claims the spark. The idea behind it was to forgive. She claimed him innocent of all past deeds.
Basically, a pardon.
Yeah, she pardoned him. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that in her pantheon, right, through her followers, he will be talked about as a hero.
Yeah, because he is her first, like, pardon, essentially.
Correct. Yes, he was. And so now, moving forward, when there are, maybe temples or enclaves or armies of the goddess of heroes, who knows, the lore that's going to be passed down to them, and I guess you can call it the propaganda, is going to be that he was a hero given a bad deal by the gods because they were just scared of his power.
Ooh, I could see like a really cool statue in like a temple dedicated to Ramah, to where, like, they have the statue of Ramah there with, like, because she has her, like, her Valkyrie wings, like, out, and, like, has her hand up like she's casting a spell, and this big ass wolf behind her, like, getting ready to, like, attack or something, because it's like her brother. I'm like, oh, that would be so badass. Oh,
and there's some really cool lore points, like if she really wants to go down that road after this campaign is done, like if she talks to Nathan about it, about, like, there is the followers of Fenrir.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? Those people are there, so they would look favorably upon her at this point, right? I know that
she got a boon.
She doesn't have it.
Oh,
she did.
Ooh, okay.
Well, no, she got Fenrir's blessing. Yeah. She did, the freedom.
Basically a boon or a blessing of Fenrir, which allowed her, basically anytime she's grappled, restrained, or anything, she has advantages checks to get out of it.
Yeah. She was the god of freedom.
Yes. In which side war point, because of a previous campaign and a previous character's war against Odin, they ended up giving his divine spark to that character. So they don't follow that person by any means, but it's like, take up our our former god's mantle, please, and kill Odin.
Yeah. And it also sets up something really cool, right? Because Odin had, we haven't gotten to that part because we've got the spark part. But at this point in our story, Odin gave her a choice, right? And he was worried about what was going to happen because because the gods are going to die. So if she's giving the idea that I've pardoned Fenrir, right? All these other things, all these people who don't like Odin, right? She doesn't necessarily have anything against Odin. She doesn't really even know who he is up until a few sessions ago.
So a little bit of setup into the story for the people that are listening, because I want to keep it in like they're literally sitting here at the table with us.
Chronological order, yeah.
So we killed Fenrir. The group ended up taking a long rest. Ramah used her demiplane spell, which I realized took away all danger of any hope of outside of combat with that thing. You just literally go into your own plane. I can see why game masters that like to have a little bit more control are a little bit more apprehensive about that spell. Just so
it seems a little broken.
It seems a little bit broken in certain circumstances, especially since she's basically holding a person prisoner in another demiplane, and you can basically keep opening up as many demiplanes as you want. She's basically creating her own planes.
She can create an infinite amount of them.
But we all ended up scooping up the remains of Fjolnir and putting them in the demiplane, and then taking a long rest with the remains.
With the remains of Fenrir, yeah.
This was all after that necrotic thing got blown up.
Yep.
That Silvera helped me transcribe that rune's work into the spellbook of Oder, and I had agreed to give her a copy of it for her help in.
Oh yeah, you you pretty much not a rubbing, but yeah, you literally like looked at the pieces and wrote down the spell or the rune work.
Yeah, she was reading them off to me and making sure that they were all in the right orders and stuff like that, and we transcribed it into the white spellbook of Oder, and she wants a copy of it. So we have that transcription, which is going to be really good for Toy Bar. Especially with who I'm going to talk to right now.
So you guys get done with the long rest. You come out of the demiplane. And then you basically go and head to the next room. There was a missed moment there that Merrick wanted to talk to Ramah.
Yeah, I had talked to Nate about this beforehand, and it was before going into the final chamber, like that thematic moment to where there's the big boss door essentially, and we cross through this door. This is the boss of the dungeon, or whatever. To where right before that moment. If Ramah were to go to pull that door open, Merrick steps forward, puts his hand on the door, and pushes it closed. And say, before we go into here, you and I are going to come to a deal. To where I remember that Ramah was concerned that Merrick would want to take this spark instead of letting her have it. And so she was contemplating going off by herself to do this to solo the dungeon and so that she can get it without that concern.
That's because that Dom Jarl told her that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, and I'm not saying that was
it's wise advice.
Yeah, I'm not saying that was she's a bad person for thinking that way. She was making the choices that her character, she was debating those choices her character would have to debate. And so that hats off. That's really cool that she went into that character headspace and thought about that. So I was going to try to alleviate those fears by having Merrick close the door and say, no matter what happens on the other side of this door, I will let you take this spark. I will step aside and allow you to take it. In exchange, you must get me Surtur's spark when the time comes.
You could probably still make that deal somehow.
Well, yeah, but it was more thematically cool and builds tension a little bit right then and there.
Yeah.
Now, after it's over, it's well, I already have the spark, so you have no leverage, type thing. But also looking at it, because that also would put Ramah in a weird spot now too, because she did make a deal with Rathgrith. And so now it's like, oh, hey, you need to surrender the spark. And Rathgrith just went, no. Oh, okay, cool. Now, does she let like, okay, cool, we're going to do our thing with Rathgrith and go. And then if Merrick were to make a play to attack Rathgrith to get the spark, now, like, what would Ramah do? Would Ramah side with Merrick because, well, it's a D&D game and he's in my party? Or would she side with Rathgrith because that's the alliance that she made, or a loose understanding that they came to? So that would have been, kind of an interesting moment to see what would she say on that one. What would Ramah do? What would Vicky want to do? But yeah, I missed my moment. I don't know why. I think I just forgot, or
I think I forgot, and then there was also a point to where I think I was supposed to tell you, it's like, this is the door.
Yeah, yeah, it's where the moment passed, and when we went in and we were on the circular platform, I was like, oh, I probably should have said that like 5 minutes ago, but oh well, moments passed. Moving on. Let's kill this thing.
It's because Odin showed up.
That's
she
what
created
it
the door.
was.
You all went in. We all went in, and then before she stepped in, Odin poofed her.
That's okay. Yeah.
Odin held her back from going in.
Yeah, Odin held her back. That's what it was. Yeah.
And then
dang you, Odin, screwing my stuff up.
And then he made, and this was basically and I explained this to her, and I go, this is going to put pressure on you as a player. I kind of like, as a GM, I've mentioned it before in the podcast, if I feel it's going to be easier to explain it in a meta way to a player of what it is, then do so. Like, for instance, like you were mentioning with Merrick or whatever, if she was really, really struggling as a player of like, Brent's going to screw me over, or Merrick's going to screw me over, you tell her at the table, it's like, what you got to remember is Merrick might, but you got to remember that's also being played by your friend Brent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he ain't going to hurt you.
Yeah. I'm not going to screw them over intentionally. No, of course not. That's just a dick move.
So I kind of explained this to her in a meta way. That way it was a little easier for her as a player to comprehend, and it was a deal of, you can go into that spark, in that spark chamber, and defeat my golem and take that spark. But that's my grandson's spark. I did set this up as a trial for anyone to take this and earn it. It's still my grandson's spark, technically. I kind of don't want anyone to have it, even though I've set it up this way. But then he brings Aventa, who's basically the other splinter twin goddess, down with Gungnir, his sphere, in her, immobilized, and says, I will take you. Or he explained, you've seen all the kind of hieroglyphs or the mosaics. I know how to take her spark, harness it, that way it don't go to a random person, and put it in you. And I'll give you back your own spark if you don't go in there and take that one. So she basically is being offered a spark either way.
Yeah, either way she was going to get one, yeah.
And I go to her, now here's the kicker. He explains that the Norns are kind of peeved that 400 years ago, all the fates, for anyone that doesn't know Norse mythology, the Norns are peeved that everything got derailed off plan 470 some odd years ago.
Yeah, Ragnarök was averted.
Was averted. They are out of a job since then. So they have started to reweave the fate of tapestry, or the tapestry of fate. The tapestry of fate, and reweave these tales. In these tapestries, there's a fork in this prophecy. You can go in there and take my grandson's spark if you are able to defeat my golem. And if you do so, you become the god or the goddess of hero and change. Either way, you will. But you're destined then to save humanity when Ragnarök happens again. And he goes, and it will happen again, because they are weaving it to happen. But us gods will die. You might survive, but humanity will, and that's what you will be known for, as the person that saves humanity either way, whether you survive or not. If you take Aventa's spark here, us gods will survive, and we can rebuild humanity, but humanity will die. she sat there, was it Chase, for 20 minutes, kind of going, and kind of going back and forth about, okay, this is a big after campaign decision.
Yeah. She did a good job of asking questions and trying to clarify lore and stuff. So you can definitely tell that she was taking this choice pretty seriously. So
it's an interesting choice too, right?
It is,
because we know that her creation story is basically she is Kami to Piccolo, right?
Yeah, from Dragon Ball Z lore, yeah.
Yeah, or I guess a better way to do it is Boo. She is good Boo.
Yeah,
and she was expelled. Her side of the personality was expelled from the evil side because the evil side wanted to be more evil. In essence, that TLDR. That's War wanted to be able to war as much as she wanted without having to think about the consequences.
Yeah,
and so she did this, and it's a really cool idea. And so Odin offering her basically her full power back, but with her leading the personality instead. Or maybe even just deleting that part and saying, here's the rest of your power back.
That's basically what it would have been.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you walk away and let Ragnarok happen, and eventually Ragnarok will happen and everything will be wiped out, but I will do my duty as Odin and rebuild the 9 realms and repopulate it. So everybody will die, but then everything will be repopulated again.
And so
it'll be cool.
That was the other side tangent for she could, trust that he's, for once being honest, even though Odin's a trickster, just as much as Loki goes, the Norns have instructed me, it is my duty to give you this choice, but I cannot tell you what to do and I cannot interfere. But I am the one to present this choice as basically the king of gods.
And it was a really cool moment.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was a really cool moment. And then on the flip side it was, or you can go and claim that spark, and when Ragnarok happens, all the gods will die. You will live.
Maybe.
And humanity will live. And either way you're going to become a god, make your choice, right? And it's an interesting conundrum for her, right? Because there's a lot of personal feelings to becoming whole again.
Yeah.
Versus saving everybody from untold destruction.
It's like, here's chapter 1 of your step into becoming a goddess. Here's your choice of how the book ends already.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the way Norse mythology works. And she ended up choosing basically to go forth inside the chamber and save humanity, which I knew 90% chance that was the choice she'd take.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a 10% wild card of like, well, these guys can just rebuild humanity, so...
Yeah.
Or we're right in, and I love the idea that you had, Merrick, about the... Or she could just say yes, and then we could walk in and kill that thing, and I get a spark too.
Yeah, or hey, 2-for-1 deal.
But it's hard, because in that moment, like, you as your character would be like, yeah, let's do this idea. But it's a moment where, like, your character's not there.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I want, because we were all
we needed her to make her own decision in this.
Yeah,
moment.
and I think kind of under the and I'm really proud of the group for that, because we could have told her what to do.
And I think I actually said that as a DM.
Yeah,
said that out of character to each of you. I'm like, This is an important scene for her.
Yeah,
you guys can feed her all the info of any lore that she wants. Do not tell her what you would do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that was really important for that scene, to where she made the choice that was what her character wanted, rather than what the group told her to do. So yeah, that's really important.
And I wanted that way she didn't. Well, that way, like, years down the line, she's like, "Well, I was just doing what they would so and so would do."
Like,
no, you, in this particular instance, you did what you would do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a really good scene.
But like, so after that, she stepped in. She went forward to, you guys finally got to the final boss battle.
Finally, yeah. Good old dungeon crawl.
And that was basically about 2 sessions. Or no, that was last session for us, because we played about a month ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, then like, holidays and family stuff and
Yeah. No matter what the outcome, I think, of that decision, as I was mentioning, it affected future campaigns. It was probably one of the top 3 decisions of the entire, like, any campaign I've run for this setting.
Yeah, it was one of those setting defining moments. Yeah.
So if you guys were there, if it was Toy Bar or Merrick that had been given that choice, which way would you guys had gone? Like, let's say your parallel universe, Toy Bar's a splinter god, and it's evil Toy Bar, good Toy Bar, or it's evil Merrick, good Merrick.
If it was the same character that I'm playing now,
yeah,
Merrick would have told Odin to pound sand. There's no way that Merrick was going to be beholden to the gods the way that current Merrick feels about them. Because I've said a couple times before, but just to reiterate, Merrick is as atheist as you can get, while the gods still like walk around and can talk to you. To where he's like,
you and me have talked about that. It is the idea of Constantine the movie. You don't believe, you know that they're there.
I know the gods exist. I know they have power. I know they have followers and they can do all of this. I just don't like you, and I choose not to follow you. And I don't need you in my life for me to be powerful. You need to worry about me. Yeah. And so if in parallel universe Merrick, if he's the same character as I'm playing now, he would tell Odin, no, I'm not going to make any deal with you. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to destroy whatever it is you made, and I'm going to take that spark. And then you're going to have to worry about me. That's just kind of how he feels about it now, because and even then, I've been debating back and forth of if Merrick were to get a spark, would he take it? Because, okay, well, this is a god spark.
Yeah.
I'm now a god. He's spent most of his life and most of like the character creation process kind of rebelling against the very idea of a god running around doing stuff. So now all of a sudden he has the ability to be one. So, so I guess the question is, would he even want it or take it or whatever? And so that's kind of even now I'm trying to kick the idea around of the spark inside Rathgrith. What does Merrick want to do with that? Like with that information? Yeah, she has it, and he works with Surtur, and he kind of squares it away by, well, Surtur's not a god anymore. He's just a powerful fire giant. That's it. He's not the great world ender that he was in Ragnarok, because he doesn't have that power anymore.
No.
1, would he want Surtur to get that power back? 2, if given the option, would he want to take that power for himself, or would he just want to figure out how to destroy a spark, if possible? Which I think is kind of an interesting kind of concept of, can you destroy a god's power without killing the god? You know? Which is more of like it's a metaphysical conversation at a later date that has like no bearing on the current situations in the campaign or whatever. But it's just kind of one of those things in the future. If you can take a spark from a god, can you destroy that spark?
And what, like leave him mortal?
Either mortal or, well, what is Surtur now? Well, will he eventually grow old and die?
Yeah, with the way he's.
So then, I guess, yeah, because the
he's just a very basically demigodish fire giant.
Gotcha. Because in Norse mythology, the gods stay young and virile because they eat the apples of Idun.
Yeah,
and that gives them their immortality.
And they still do.
Yeah, and if they if they stop eating those, they will eventually grow old and die. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, if you take the spark from somebody and they eat the apples of Idun, would they still work?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. And the answer is probably. But they wouldn't be a god anymore. So they would probably still be allowed to go to Asgard because family and whatnot, but they wouldn't be a god anymore. Still a powerful being in their own right, but now what? You know? So it's just kind of one of those things of, I don't know if I want to go too far down that rabbit hole.
What about you? Like, if Toy Bar had been basically offered that in a parallel choice, where would he have gone with it?
He would have accepted Odin's deal.
Oh,
okay.
Odin's got magic, bro. And if Odin says that, like, let's say it was exactly that. Like, here's your bad side. I can kill this bad side of you, and you will claim all of his powers, and you'll become a god of magic with me, and be a god of magic. Hell yeah.
Okay, you know, putting it that way.
That's not even a question for Toy Bar.
Yeah, but yeah, wording it that way, I wholeheartedly understand where that choice comes from. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Toy Bar would have been like, oh yeah, well let's do this, and then he would have been like, hey, if I do this, can I run in there and see if I can help my buddies out do this too? I would have tried to make a deal that way, but Toy Bar would have accepted the deal regardless.
And then Odin would have been like,
he still would have tried to get the best deal that he could.
Yeah,
for everybody.
Odin would have been like, I'm just here to offer you the choice. I can't tell you what to do after.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Toy Bar would have been like, so you're telling me if I say yes and I become Super Toy Bar, you're not going to like teleport us out of here? Like, we can keep doing what we need to do? And that would have been my thing. Because if he wouldn't have done that, I would have been like, yeah, we're taking this. And then, oh, hey, Merrick, we could take that one to Surtur if you want. Like, that would have been what Toy Bar looked at.
I'm down.
And then Toy Bar would have left. You'd have never seen him again.
Oh no. Oh no.
Hey, tabletop gamers. Thank you for watching this episode of the Hermit's Homebrew. We come out with new episodes every Wednesday. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends as we continue to level up and grow.